It's a planned 30-mile greenway connecting the city's urban neighborhoods and linking them to downtown and local waterways. And a new infusion of federal dollars moves it closer to reality. To discuss the news about the Emerald Trail, I'm joined by Kay Ehas, CEO of Groundwork Jacksonville. That's the nonprofit in charge of designing the greenway. Hey, Kay.
Hello, Ann.
Hello. Close call. We actually do have Melissa Ross, a name you'll all recognize as this program's former host, now serving as the City of Jacksonville's Director of Strategic Initiatives. Hey, Melissa, good morning.
Hi, Ann. Good to be with you.
Good to have you. Also joined by Greer Gillis, Senior Vice President and Chief Infrastructure and Development Officer at the Jacksonville Transportation Authority. Good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to have you, Greer. And we're joined by Shirley Thomas, President of the North Riverside Community Development Corporation. Good morning.
Good morning.
If you have questions or comments about the Emerald Trail, you can reach out at 904-549-2937. You can also email firstcoastconnect@wjct.org, or you can reach out on social media. Kay Ehas, what does this federal money mean?
This federal money means we can get the Emerald Trail completed very close to our original timeline,
Which is?
2030.
Okay. I've heard 2029, 2030. 2030 is the new target.
Yeah, 2029 was the original. Now it's 1 year, which isn't bad, 1 year behind, and it's going to be a monumental effort to get it done in that time frame.
This idea has been around since the early 90s under Mayor Ed Austin. You believe, though, that this project and the money that it just got from the federal government will allow for completion?
Yes, well, think about that. $248 million has already been either spent or secured for segments 1, 2, and the 2 creeks, and segment 3 for initial design. And so this will complete all of the trail segments. The only thing it will not fund is creek restoration.
Mm-hmm. Which is important. Greer Gillis, what was the federal funding source for this, and why was JTA able to get it?
So the federal funding source was the Reconnecting Communities and the Neighborhood Access and Equity Grant. It's part of the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law and the Inflation Reduction Act. And the JTA was able to get this grant in collaboration with Groundwork Jacksonville and the City of Jacksonville because of our history and our consistency in delivering on projects, major infrastructure projects for the JTA as well as roadway projects. So U.S. Department of Transportation had a great amount of trust in us to be able to deliver on something like this. But I have to say, Ann, we could not have done this without the support, congressional delegation, Representative Aaron Bean and John Rutherford, as well as Senators Rick Scott and Marco Rubio, and of course, U.S. Department of Transportation. We could not have done this without all of their support.
And JTA kind of took the lead, as I recall, after you guys reached an agreement with the city and Groundwork Jacks last year that JTA was going to sort of be the funding trajectory for those dollars, that you were going to lead that effort.
Correct. City Council, when they passed the local option gas tax, asked us to be responsible for the design, the construction, even the environmental for the 5 remaining segments. So $132 million came to the JTA for that reason. So because of that, we wanted to make sure that we go after and maximize the use of federal discretionary grants to be able to accelerate the delivery of this program.
Shirley Thomas, you live in one of the neighborhoods that will be part of this 30-mile greenway in North Riverside. What is the mood of the neighborhood there in anticipating this connecting route?
Very, very good. It's a very good mood. We are so happy that Groundwork was able to get this money, and it's a help to all the members of the North Riverside. We are an older neighborhood, and the older neighborhood, they need houses, their houses repairs. Some of them need their property. Paid for. So it's a great thing that we're doing and that they're doing for us.
And what do you think what do people in the community think the greenway will do in terms of helping the neighborhood in some way?
So far, we think that it will help the neighborhood because they'll have places to go. They have somewhere to go. They have somewhere to walk. Instead of sitting home, they'll have something to do. And it's really will be a big help. And also with the McCoy Creek, it's going to be restored, and the flooding is going to be, we hope the flooding is going to be done, and it's going to be a great thing. And we still thank so much Groundwork for what they're doing for the neighborhood.
Melissa, what is the city doing in terms of working with neighborhoods like Shirley's to make sure that they're part of the discussion, and also that, any repercussions, if there are any, in terms of, displacement, are taken care of or anticipated?
Well, let me first say, Ann, that we need to talk a little bit about just how historic this grant is. This is the largest single grant the city of Jacksonville has ever received. $147 million for this landmark project. Now, for those who aren't familiar, the Emerald Trail is going to be a 30-mile trail and linear park system that will connect 14 urban neighborhoods to downtown, Hogan's Creek, McCoy's Creek, and the St. Johns River. So it will directly interface with the riverfront activation that the city is also pursuing concurrently. So looking at all of this together, this is a massive infrastructure and climate change mitigation project that's going to stand the city in good stead for decades to come. Picture this green belt linking up nearly 24 schools, colleges, hospitals, parks, the regional transit center. Restaurants, retail, and businesses will now be interconnected. And someone mentioned that this is called reconnecting communities. Well, what the Emerald Trail will do is reconnect communities that were cut off by transportation infrastructure that decimated majority Black neighborhoods decades ago. So you have to think about the Emerald Trail as restorative in that sense. Of course, as we talk about the old JFK saying that success has 1,000 fathers and defeat is an orphan, everybody wants to claim a little bit of the success story behind this. But the simple truth is that everybody collaborated. Mayor Deegan's office collaborated with JTA and Groundwork Jacksonville. We also leveraged the strong relationships we've built with the Biden administration, not to mention the experienced team that we put together to bring more federal tax dollars home. Mayor Deegan was clear about that all throughout her campaign, that the city of Jacksonville was not going after federal grants aggressively enough. So she went after this along with all of our partners, including, of course, the congressional delegation. Back in November of 2023, the mayor, JTA CEO Nat Ford, and Kay Ehas, CEO of Groundwork, went to Washington together to speak to Congressmen Rutherford and Bean, as well as the staff of Senator Rubio and Senator Scott and other government officials, to try to land this grant, which is, by the way, an extremely competitive process. So there is so much credit to go around for this really massive win for the city of Jacksonville. Now, to your other question about making sure communities aren't left out of the discussion, as many know who followed this administration, Mayor Deegan has made a point of bringing everyone into these conversations. One of the first official acts I did when I was hired to serve this mayor was set up town halls, community conversations in every city council district, which we did last summer, so that we could hear from residents about what was going on in their districts. We created a spreadsheet from those town halls and took questions and concerns to various city departments, and we're still working through those items in that spreadsheet to make sure that we stay in touch with people out in every neighborhood, especially neighborhoods that have been underserved for so long. The mayor likes to say that if she could be known for only one thing after her time in office is done, it's that she fulfilled the broken promises of the city's consolidation 50-plus years ago. And this win for the Emerald Trail is a big, big piece of that. It is going to go a long way toward repairing some of those broken promises, Ann.
Well, let's hear from somebody in the North Side neighborhood. Stanley joins us. Good morning, Stanley. Welcome to First Coast Connect.
Good morning to everybody, especially Melissa. My goodness, good people, good people. My main concern here is gentrification, because I am very entrenched in city government. Me and John Noonan, my good partner. But my main concern is gentrification, and also, why are we going to wait to make those changes in the underserved community. That's been going on for 54 years. We can talk a good game, but the action behind it, but I do trust Melissa is for doing the right thing under the Deacon administration. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Stanley. The question of gentrification, Kay, what discussions have been had about, making sure that when this trail brings, a resurgence of economic activity or increases property values, that the people who've lived there for a long time in communities that have been traditionally ignored or underfunded, that they're not put out because of that.
Yeah, so I want to add a couple of things to what Greer said. The other reason this project got funded is because of the project itself, because it is connecting disadvantaged majority Black communities, and because of the way Groundwork Jacksonville has gone about engaging community throughout the entire process, from the time we did the master plan, having neighborhoods on that steering committee. So, and this is where Ms. Shirley can talk about this, we are concerned about displacing people. Gentrification isn't always bad. It's displacing people that is the bad thing about gentrification. And so in this grant are funds to create 7 neighborhood plans working with residents and small businesses around affordable housing and economic development. We believe neighborhoods should be leading their revitalization. And that is our goal, to make that happen. So it also will provide capacity building funds for neighborhood organizations. So it matters to us a great deal that neighborhoods are leading this with us.
Mm-hmm. And Ms. Shirley, what kind of resources would help, from your perspective, to make sure that people in those surrounding neighborhoods are included and also not pushed out?
Grants. Grants will help with us a lot, because a lot of the people do think that the gentrification, they do think that their houses, their property is going to go up. The property is going to go up. They think that they're going to be ran out of their houses, and that's what they don't want. Because right now, a lot of us, I'm not getting too many, but a lot of us is getting letters, getting phone calls, and all of this to buy the homes. And some of the people have been in the homes like 30, 40, 60 years, 70 years. And of course, they don't want this to come and take their home, no one to come and take their homes from them, and nor do we. That's why we are telling them not to sell their homes to anyone. Let us know if they've gotten a letter or a phone call about their homes, because that's what older people are concerned about, that they will maybe lose their homes.
Am I allowed to ask a question? And any of you can take this. It's sort of selfish. I noticed that on the map, the trail, when it comes to kind of the area where the Four Seasons Hotel would be, all the way down to this part of the river where the station is located, that there is not an extension of the Riverwalk, that the trail kind of goes up and around and then north. Is there a reason? Is there any plan for an extension of the North Bank Riverwalk to include that area? And why isn't the trail part of that?
That's a Melissa Ross question, because the Riverwalk is the city.
Yeah. That is a question that, is a process. Currently we are engaging the public in a series of conversations about riverfront activation. And that is certainly a long-held dream to have the Riverwalk go all the way across. I'll have to get back to you on that one, Ann, because we're in the process of. There are a lot of moving parts when it comes to riverfront stuff right now. Yeah. Why don't you have me back to talk about that at length another time?
All right. After you catch up with Mr. Khan, we can figure out what the plan is for in front of the Four Seasons. Kay.
So I wanted to add to the gentrification issue. Right, we've partnered with LISC and United Way. United Way is putting $10 million towards home preservation, clearing titled property. There's a lot of air properties, so we have to clear title for people so that they can get loans or they can get grants.
And those are properties where people have inherited the property but may not have clear title.
Over generations. And we, right now, we have funds to do home repairs for 47 homes in North Riverside. So there'll be a lot of that. The simplest thing you can do is to keep people in their homes, and how you do that is through home repair. Yeah. That's step number one.
Greer, I want to ask about the connectivity thing, because I know that Pete Buttigieg was interviewed here by one of the local TV stations and made a point of saying, this is about bringing, access to disadvantaged communities and connecting them, that was really a consideration in terms of making this award.
Correct. And with the Emerald Trail, then by this award, all the things that Kay and Melissa referenced, we're providing access to jobs, access to healthcare, access to education. And one of the reasons why we're excited about collaborating with the city and Groundwork on this is because now we're going to provide access to our services, our fixed route services, our First Coast Flyer, our bus rapid transit line, but also our Ultimate Urban Circulator. You referenced the Riverwalk, and you referenced also the trail coming down to the Riverwalk, where our Phase 1, our Bay Street Innovation Corridor, will actually connect with all those things. So we see this as a game changer, providing those seamless mobility solutions for everyone. And I have to say, this was all really the vision of our CEO, Nat Ford. It's because of his leadership as well as his international and national expertise in being at the table on many of the trade associations as they're talking about infrastructure funding across the gamut. I think we need to also think through that as far as why we were able to successfully bring this amount of money here to Jacksonville. This is a game changer for all of us, and I think we're all, as you can hear, we're very excited and passionate about it.
Yeah, and I've seen that 40% of the trail is complete, under construction, or in design. How much of it is actually done?
Done?
Yeah.
Well, almost done. I mean, so close done. Like a month and a half done.
Okay.
Is the Lavilla Link, which will be 1.3 miles. The shared use path that the FDOT did, that's complete. That's a mile. There's a portion of San Marco that's complete. Coys Creek is under construction. That's going to be amazing. And the Yes Line Rail Trail is part of it, which is complete as well.
Yeah, McCoy's Creek, it really is going to open up an area that has never really been, a green space. It's been bordered by a road, traditionally had a ton of flooding problems, but it's not been a kind of destination.
And it's no longer flooding.
Yeah,
Since that's under construction, yeah.
That's huge. And so who is, in terms of like, how do you pick the neighborhoods that are next in line?
Well, I mean, the Trail Master Plan has, an order of which we'll do the trail segments. And there's a method to that madness that the Path Foundation created. But we're also going to have to figure out how to creatively advance the project over the next 5.5 years.
Greer.
And if I may, Ann, Kay is absolutely right. We said in the grant application we would deliver this by 2034, but now that we have been awarded the funding, we're going to put our minds together to see how we can bring this to the city a lot sooner.
Well, it's very exciting. Thank you all for being here. Kay Ehas, Greer Gillis, Melissa Ross, and Shirley Thomas. Thank you all so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
We miss you, Melissa.
We do
Miss you
miss
guys too. See you soon.